Hare Krishna, dear devotees. So, welcome you all for today's session, Transcend or Trap. As you can see, the name sounds interesting and quite different. And our speaker for today is Anuradha Mataji. So, she is associated with ISKCON since 2008. And since then, she is practicing Krishna consciousness along with her good husband, Bhaktarup Prabhu. So, Mataji and Prabhuji, they give classes in ISKCON Chennai. As you know, like we have ISKCON Chennai YouTube channel where everyday classes are happening, and Mataji and Prabhuji gives classes there as well. And they have a daughter, Yukta. She is also practicing KC. She is in her first year of BTech. So the family together very wonderfully, they are practicing Krishna consciousness, as well as they are well educated, and they are quite good in their academics. Mataji is an MCA graduate. She was working, and then after marriage she left her job and she takes care of the family, and as well as she takes classes now. Like she takes everyday Bhagavad Gita classes to the BPS kids parents. So we have Bhakta Prahlad school, so where the parents are there, and then she also takes Bhagavad Gita classes to her friends, relatives, her cousins. So she is trying to cultivate in her circles Krishna consciousness. So Mataji is very inspiring that way. So she's managing her household duties as well as practicing KC very wonderfully. So we are very fortunate to hear from Anuradha Mataji today. So let us take full advantage of the session. And as you know, IYS, we conduct weekly programs like this every Saturday. So you can join us. In case you're not part of our WhatsApp group, I'll share the link here so you can join here. Join the WhatsApp group to get regular updates about IYS sessions. And with no further ado, so over to you, Anuradha Mataji. So we are very eager to hear from you. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji. First of all, I extend my obeisances to His Grace Amarendra Prabhu and Sukriti Mataji for opening up this opportunity for me. Today's topic is a very heavy topic as well as very interesting topic. So how far we could make it, we can practice this in our life. It's going to be very beneficial for us. So we will begin the session. So with a little prayer. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamin Iti Namine Namaste Saraswate Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine. So today our topic was different people are experiencing the same situation, but they react differently. So the choice they make is a challenge. And whether this choice that they make is going to be a trap for them, or it's going to liberate them, or otherwise we can say the choice that they make is in a transcendental platform, then we can say they have transcended. Well, that is, they get liberated. So this we are going to see in view of a story from Srimad Bhagavatam. So this is a very, very it is bringing Lord Krishna into this material world for his leelas. So the appearance of the Supreme Lord, there is a preset before the appearance. So in that preset, we are going to see this particular topic being conveyed. So many of us, like there are many situations we need to handle. So it crucially depends upon how we are handling the situation. In the sense, how we are going to react or respond to the situation. So to brief about that, if suppose a person is encountering a situation favorable or unfavorable, he can act in two ways. Either he can act sensually or he can act intellectually. So sensually, in the sense, we are reacting to the situation, we are impulsive, our senses are triggered, and we feel sorry later. But if we are acting intellectually, our senses are controlled, our senses are able to discriminate as to how to handle that situation. So basically, if we have to be on the intellectual platform to discriminate properly and handle the situation, the only solution is to be Krishna conscious. So Prabhupada, the founder Acharya of ISKCON, in many places he mentions that Krishna consciousness is the only solution. So how is that? That is what we're going to see in this particular two personalities, how they reacted for the same situation. Situation, we can term that situation as both of them confronted with fear. So confronting with fear, both of them have responded in a different way. So as I already told you, intellectually means there is a background, that is the person is having a knowledge and he is able to discriminate. This knowledge is basically from the scriptures. So the scriptures are the foundation, or it can give you the highest knowledge or highest wisdom to act appropriately in a particular situation. So how is it we're going to see that with references to two personalities, Kamsa and Vasudeva. So this particular incident, all of us must be aware when we take the birth pastime of Lord Krishna. So in this particular pastime, before the appearance of the Supreme Lord, we all know that his parents were Devaki and Vasudeva. I hope you all know that. And they both were imprisoned by Kamsa. So a little bit bits and pieces, I think all of you would have heard here and there. So we'll place it properly relevant to the topic today. So before Krishna advents, there is a scene set up. So Lord Brahma is expressing his Purusha Shukta prayers because the earth is highly disturbed. So as you are all students of Bhagavad Gita, you already know that Krishna advents when there is a big turmoil or when there is a big disturbance in the establishment of Dharma, or when Dharma is, collapsed. So in this particular period, there's no other personality than the Supreme Lord himself to set the situation or to give the solution to that situation. It goes beyond hand for even the highest responsible demigods to handle it. So the Supreme Lord has to advent. The prayers are offered by Lord Brahma, and it is answered by Shirodaksha Vishnu that he will appear in due course of time to set right the situation. So what happens before the Supreme Lord advents, the situation is chaos. So why it's chaos and how it is chaos? Because there were many people like Kamsa. So what was the characteristic nature that Kamsa demonstrated that we need to learn from both Kamsa and Vasudeva, so that we are not trapped, we transcend. by our choices. So I think many of us will be in the many different kinds of situations. But if we learn from this story, it will help us to, increase our discrimination capacity to act appropriately. So before Krishna appears in this mortal world, there is his parents, Vasudeva and Devaki. They both get married. Vasudeva being a little description of these two personalities. Kamsa is a king of Bhoja dynasty, and this Vasudeva is the son of the king of Yadu dynasty. So it is already informed that the Supreme Lord will make his appearance among the Yadus. So the Yadu dynasty becomes very glorious. So these two particular personalities, they are having a royal lineage. Though they both have royal lineage, but one is a demon exhibiting demonic natures, other person is a devotee. Because how we can understand the devotee, the Lord blesses the devotee by he himself appearing as a son of Vasudeva and Devaki. So before the Lord advents, the marriage, after the marriage takes place between Vasudeva and Devaki, while Kamsa is riding their chariot, there is a prophecy that he hears from the sky that the 8th child born to Vasudeva is going to kill him. So this particular situation, Kamsa is engulfed with fear. So he is completely fearful. So immediately, instantly, he gets infuriated. So he starts reacting very impulsively that he has to forget that it is his own sister that he is causing the pain. It is his own sister that he is about to kill. So this is when the person here from Bhagavad Gita, we learn that the main purpose of human is the tendencies that he has is he wants to experience the maximum enjoyment. So when the enjoyment is barred, what happens? If because of the fear of losing the enjoyment, the person starts to act in a sinful way. So this particular person, Kamsa, he had a reputation of being the king of of all the dynasties, Bhoja. He started invading Yadu dynasty and Andaka dynasty. So he had a very good record. So when the fame is disturbed or when the fame of that personality is curtailed, then there is fear. So fear of losing that. So instantly the person starts acting. So whereas in contrast, we see Vasudeva also had the same situation. What was his situation? His situation is his wife is going to be at stake. So the wife has to lose her life or live her life. So he was also confronted with fear, but the same fear, how he responded, makes a dramatic learning for us. So we are also, provoked. We are also encountering. We are also facing different struggles and different situations, different circumstances, incidents in our life, but many of us don't know how to handle it. Many of us, even before coming to ISKCON, I never knew all these things. As my senses would dictate, that was my activities. So here we are deriving a clear picture from the actions of Vasudeva. So Vasudeva had to also react for that fear, but how he did it? So when Vasudeva knew that there is an instant danger for Devaki, he started recollecting his all the good instructions, and he started preaching that to Kamsa. So he, as you're all students of Bhagavad Gita, the second chapter of Bhagavad Gita opens a very great topic as to we are different from the body. So this particular incident that Kamsa had, he is going to face death. And even Devaki is going to face death if she was killed by Kamsa. So both of them are on that verge. But Vasudev, because the good instructions had seeped in him, or he had realized the good instructions, he was handling the situation in a very nice way. There are very, very strong sentences that are there in that story. If you all have Krishna book, definitely I can only, be a little instrument to tell a few things, but I would greatly encourage if you all can read that part after listening to this session. Because the words of Prabhupada and the words of Srimad Bhagavatam directly has a very great influence. So Vasudev tries to defend his wife, or in other words, he tries to give his protection to his wife as a matter of duty. So when he tries to do that, he speaks on how death is inevitable and everybody has to face it one day or the other. So Vasudev is trying to pacify Kamsa that there need not be fear of death. But generally, we observe that even though death may be used as a heavy word here, because of that particular death, somebody has to get very fearful if he is bereft of spiritual wisdom. So this Vasudev, being a devotee, he tries to inform, or he tries to educate Kamsa that the body that we possess, and he gives various analogies. The body that we possess is always prone to change. It is prone to change, and the new body that arrives also depends upon our mental condition. So we are always dictated with our mind and body. So Vasudev is explaining to Kamsa that he has to transcend that so that he can overcome his fear. So this particular lesson, as to the flickering natures of the mind and it giving influence to the body, if one learns to transcend that, then that person transcends. That person gets liberated. So, and he always remains peaceful. There is many slokas in Bhagavad Gita where Krishna says that if the person remains undisturbed, or if he's able to tolerate his sense perceptions, so then he can transcend. So this person, Vasudev, actually tolerated the abominable, what to say, all of a sudden action of Kamsa. So he explained this particular thing, but he also observed that usually people who have demonic nature or demonic tendencies, how much ever you try to explain to them, it is very difficult for them to accept good instructions. We also have very other examples in this particular aspect where all of you should be having knowledge of Ramayana. So in Ramayana also, there is Vibhishan and Ravana. Both were brothers. But when Vibhishan is giving all good instructions to Ravana, Ravana was never, he was so demonic, and his association was so demonic, and his enjoying tendency was to a very extreme extent. He denied all the good instructions that was given by Vibhishan. The same thing we could also observe in Dhritarashtra. If you read Mahabharata, or if you have watched Mahabharata serial, There is also many times Vidura, who is in this same platform of Vasudev, he always keeps giving many good instructions to Dhritarashtra. But Dhritarashtra continuously keeps rejecting. You see the study of all these characters, Kamsa, Ravana, Dhritarashtra. So here we make a crucial choice. So that is why we had the session as the choice that we make is a challenge. Because if we don't make the right choice, we are trapped. We're trapped in the sense we are creating, because of our motivated by our sinful activities, we are creating another material body for us. So Vasudev, although he is giving all this wisdom to Kamsa, he says that there is no use because Kamsa is so much engulfed with that fear that he is not able to give up that particular action. But then Vasudev has no choice. He has to protect his wife. So he agrees to one simple thing. So he says, how he handles the situation is, see, a devotee, he is able to possess this intelligence because he is having that foundation of that spiritual wisdom, which you are all getting cultivated now from Bhagavad Gita. In that, Vasudev, he tries to go for the next step of protecting Devaki. So he says to Kamsa that because the death for Kamsa is destined by the 8th child born to Vasudev, he promises to give the 8th child to Kamsa. So in Vasudev, he's a glorious character. He has this nature in him that whatever word, he's known for his word of honor. That is, whatever he promises, he sticks to that. He never, some people fluctuate, they withdraw from their promises. So it was not the same with Vasudev. That Kamsa, that nature of Vasudev, even Kamsa knew that. So, but for, I'm sorry about the disturbance here. Is the audio clear? You're still able to hear? Friends?
Yes.
Audio is clear, no, Mataji? Okay. Yeah. So Vasudev is trying to go to the next step, promising that he will bring the children to Kamsa, so that Kamsa can change his mind now to not cause any harm to Devaki. So this particular intelligence there, Prabhupada describes very nicely as to the nature of Kamsa. How even whatever painful the situation may be, a devotee tolerates that or sacrifices to execute his duty for the Supreme Lord. So that was a very, very exclusive nature of what Vasudev displayed. So after that, Kamsa is actually getting pacified and he stops the immediate killing of Devaki. So in case of defense, one has to take adequate measures for protection. So that is the Shastrik, message. Here, because Vasudev had control of his senses, his intelligence was well established in spiritual wisdom. He was able to withdraw, or he was not able to react the same way Kamsa did. If we take a similar narration, you all must have heard about Maharaj Parikshit also. Maharaj Parikshit is the son of Abhimanyu, and Abhimanyu is the son of Arjuna, right? So all of you are aware of that, I think. So this Parikshit has a little background. I think we'll have a brief over that. So Parikshit was cursed to death, and he was to die after 7 days. So though Parikshit had a very big background of being the ruler of Hastinapur, but still in the 7 days, Parikshit didn't feel sorry that he's going to face death in the 7th day. He accepted the arrangement of the Supreme Lord, which means sometimes truth is bitter. Not sometimes, truth is always bitter. But for a devotee, he's able to accept that. How he is able to accept that? Because he has the mercy and he has realized the message or the Upadesha of the Supreme Lord. So here, Maharaj Parikshit had to face death. Kamsa has to face death. And Devaki has to face death. So here we find that these two personalities, Vasudev and Parikshit, they were unattached. They were not pulled by their sensual enjoyment of possessions. So even though they had to face death, which is bitter, everybody struggles to face that particular aspect of life, because we don't know when it will knock, but still everybody has that subtle fear. But when we hear more, we keep hearing, we take lessons from these pure devotees like Parikshit, like Vidura, like Vibhishan, like Vasudev. We too can conquer, we too can transcend, and we need not be trapped. Trapped in the sense we are trapped with our sensual pulls, and we engage in sinful activities for which we have to assume another material body to exhaust that. So these are the couple of things that we were so far it was clear, I hope. Anything anybody has in between, like so one more point like we were talking about is the control of the senses. So if the senses have to be controlled, there is a particular procedure that needs to be followed. So with that procedure, because everything has a procedure, right? Whether we go to school, whether we work, or whatever activity, we follow some procedure. So similarly, controlling of the senses also is not done whimsically, but it follows a procedure. And the procedure comes from the Guru. And the Guru takes that procedure from the scriptures. So similarly here, because Vasudev or Parikshit or Vidura or Vibhishan, they were all sound with spiritual wisdom, their senses were controlled. They were able to appropriately discriminate the situation, and they were able to respond to the situation rather than react to the situation. So from these personalities and from these characters and what they displayed during their critical incidents, we can learn a lot. This does not come immediately or instantly. Even as practicing devotees like me, I need to, hear that and keep hearing. So one day by that hearing, what happens, I really thank you all because you all have come to hear this. One day by that hearing, we get more purified, and we turn out to become personalities like Vasudev, which is, in that state of mind like Vasudev, a person can experience stable peace. there is no fluctuation at all. He always remains peaceful. So these incidents from the Bhagavad Gita, the stories from Srimad Bhagavatam, it is very, very valid for us to, live life and also live life in a very, very, what to say, very, very exalted way. So we will pause here. So should we have any doubts on this? So it was interesting what you could learn from this small incident that we got from Krishna book. There are many like this in Krishna book, but I think every week you are having some topic like that. So Mataji's so it was clear what we did today. Nitya Mataji, you are there, Mataji. Anything related to this?
Yeah, Hare Krishna, Mataji.
Yes, Mataji. Okay. So so I also want to know that all of us are struggling, right, to make the right choice in testing situations. So the story that we learned of how Vasudev and Kamsa reacted to that fear. So this will help us a lot to even the more and more we read, we get a sense of discrimination as to how to handle that situation. So
yeah. Yeah, yes, Mataji. So yeah, thank you, Mataji, for correlating, so many different personalities, how they responded to situations. So it is like really, really helpful. If anybody has any question, you can raise your hand and, we can unmute. And Anuttama Mataji has a question. Thank you for the wonderful session, Mataji. Very beautiful analysis. I have a doubt. How do we react when someone blasphemes or hurts us?
so we have to see this reacting or responding to the situation. As we already mentioned, it comes with practicing our Krishna conscious life in alliance with instructions from our spiritual master. So that is the basis that everybody has to do with every situation. But in spite of that, when we experience hurt or blaspheming, the similar example, like how these personalities of say Vasudev, when you study the situation, he is just married and he's going to start the journey of his wedded life. That is going to be his start, and that particular incident itself, there is a very mm, uh, precarious situation. Instantly, his wife has to live or die, like that he has to face. So the person, definitely he is experiencing a deep hurt in that, because it's going to be a loss. So similarly, we see that even in Ramayana, when Lord Ram had to, his coronation is on the next day, but the next day he's denied of that because of Kaikeyi's promise, and Dashrath had to succumb to that. So there is a hurt there also, but how they reacted to that or responded to that hurt is comes by our spiritual practice. Because see, when Prabhupada mentions, even in this the situation that we were going through, a devotee, though he undergoes painful situations, still there is toleration. The aspect of toleration is there in a devotee, which because of that he is able to, transcend this factor of hurt and or blaspheming. I know it's not easy, and it's not easy, but it comes by practice. So what can we do to change the perception? Suppose I feel hurt, there might be various reasons which might not be relevant at all for me to get hurt. So if I even speculate that I got hurt, then we can immediately change our perception. Or if there is, a direct blaspheme also, there can be a change of perception. Also, we can see that, which means I have to, cultivate myself more so that I don't experience or I can transcend such kinds of, see, the hurt or blaspheming as regards to all that, as long as we are in this material body, there is dualities that keeps influencing, So that is why, we request people to take up their Bhagavad Gita sessions, come for this practical classes, understand what is the depth in that, how to live their life practically. So, like when the change of perception is there with spiritual wisdom, definitely you will not, experience this hurt. Even though it might arise for a moment, still, you can bring in the instructions from wherever you have studied with whatever characters that were highlighted, and you can withdraw an instant remedy from that. So, concludingly, I would say that the change of perception has to come, which will, help us to not get affected by the situation. It might be hurt or it might be some other emotion also, but we have to understand that these dualities are always there. But when we strengthen to hear more about Krishna and start serving more, we can overcome. When these people, are demonstrating that they could overcome this grip of fear, definitely we too can. So that is what I have learned personally when I experienced that kind of emotion. So was that helpful, Mataji? So this mind has, we already, this particular story from Krishna book, the advent of Lord Krishna, there is a paragraph which talks about the mind. So the mind has a dual activity. It can, it can accept or reject a particular situation. So if you see Kamsa accepted the situation. His mind, where his mind was not controlled, his mind was terribly agitated, he was completely disturbed. So he accepted the situation and he started acting in a sinful way. But whereas Vasudev rejected the provocations of his mind. He did not give, his mind was, we can say his mind was in equilibrium. His mind was completely in equilibrium, that he did not get, so what happens when there is somebody taking a knife and, trying to kill that his wife, then the other person also takes some weapon to do the same, right? But here we see that Vasudev, he did it in a different manner. So when the mind is perplexed, again the remedy will be, please hear more, please hear more. Definitely you will see that there is a change in the mind, there's a change in our consciousness, there will be an elevation in our thought process. As we all are practicing in Krishna consciousness for a couple of years, many of us, many devotees, when they enter, what was their mindset, what was the nature of their mind, and after practicing, what is the difference that they see, is very there is a very huge difference in that. So the more you practice, please keep practicing, so that your mind, will not get into that. In our study Gita sessions, there are many sessions as to giving you the, even there is japa session in the morning, right? So when you feel perplexed like that, you can try to involve yourself more in absorbing yourself to chant very clearly, with your mind completely focused on that. Definitely you'll see a difference. You'll see a difference. And you can easily get out of this perplexities, this mind perplexities. Of course, it's one of the, you know, three troubles that a living entity faces in this material world. But by practice, definitely you can get out of that. So hope it helped, Mataji.
There's one more question, Mataji.
So how we can strengthen our devotion to face all challenges? There is prayers. At all times, we have to remain in a prayerful mood. The challenges are really very, sometimes the challenges go beyond us. So it is very difficult to handle. Practically, sometimes it becomes very difficult to handle. But in spite of that, if we have this, Srimad Bhagavatam has many prayers of many devotees, which if you read, you can get a, we can see that our challenges in comparison to that are, they give the strength to handle our challenges. Like we have how many challenges Kunti, Mother Kunti faced, Bhakta Prahlad faced. So it was a torturing life. The entire life journey was practically, there was a lot of torture. But again, because our topic, today's topic, how to help us transcend ourselves. So we are focusing more on that, as to transcend ourselves. So definitely, when the more you you can submit yourselves in via prayers to the Supreme Lord, these challenges can be encountered in a very spiritual manner. So there are many shlokas. I think your sessions in Study Gita also, Sukirti Mataji will do a lot in that. So I think those things all will help you to, when you start rendering these prayers regularly, definitely you can, with your devotion, you can meet all the challenges. Pray. Are you, does that help you, Mataji? Yeah, okay. Okay. So any of you have faced a similar kind of situation and you have reacted correctly and you feel happy about that? Or if you have reacted wrongly, there's no harm. You can still try to change yourself like Vasudeva. So all of us are trying to, become like Vasudeva. And I also inspire you all to be the same. So anybody else, Mataji, has anything to share? You have any comments? It was a short narration, but the content is very deep, so I didn't want to, go more and more on that. The highlight was we have to learn to transcend, like we have to become devotees. That is the main content. So if you become more Krishna conscious, like as we already saw, Prabhupada mentions like Krishna consciousness is the only solution to all problems. So the more our consciousness gets purified and filled with Krishna, definitely we can transcend and we can become stable devotees.
Thank you very much, Mataji. The session was very helpful. It really showed us like how we should actually become more serious in our Krishna consciousness, in our practice, in our sadhana. So can we get link to previous session?
There is
Pratiksha, are you part of the WhatsApp group? We have IYS girls WhatsApp group. Wait, let me unmute you. Pratiksha. Yeah. Hare Krishna.
Mataji, I am part of group, that WhatsApp group. I am part of that.
Okay, so do you have my number? I'm just sharing it in the chat.
Okay.
So you can send me a WhatsApp message.
Okay.
I can share.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Okay. So, yes. Thank you, Mataji. Thank you very much for the. You're on mute, Mataji, for the wonderful session. I'm sure it had helped others and it helped them to, introspect and think how to overcome the challenges that they face. So thank you very much. So anybody has anything you can share? Otherwise, we can close the session now here. Okay.
this one.
Okay, thank you, Mataji.
Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.